everybody.
Oh, your glasses are reflecting. You can see the reflection.
Oh,
the spotlight is on. Let me slide up a little closer. Hello, everybody. How you doing tonight? Welcome back once again. This is Conversations. Pam and David. Ooh, what the happened there?
Oh,
I just shrunk up. There we go. Okay, we're back.
Here we
How's
are.
everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Welcome. See some people starting to come on. Good evening to you. Man, you got lights everywhere reflecting in you.
Yes.
I put mine on and we'll be shining everything.
shining.
Right. We shine everything back. Sorry, hit the mic.
Okay.
All right, I'm taking it.
Got my new prescription.
Yes, got your subscription. Your subscription, whatever you say. Subscription. He said, the old folks say subscription. Subscription. So there you go. All right. Hello, everybody. Greetings to you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. For everybody coming on, everybody that's going to watch this later on, welcome once again to the program. This is Conversations with Pam and David. We are happy to have you joining and connecting up with us again. Hopefully everything is going well in your life. And, the things that you're dealing with, you're overcoming.
That's
because
right.
we all deal with stuff, right?
We all deal with it, and whatever comes our way,
Man,
we conquer it.
It can be a mess.
Yes,
It can be a mess at times. Life can be a little complicated,
Yes.
a little challenging. We were looking at some other things happening with some folks earlier today.
Oh,
Life can be very complicated at times, and not always what we choose and prefer.
Yes.
But
and
you know what? God
Things
is
happen.
good.
Yes, he is good. Things happen unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And
A lot of things happen in our lives we can't plan for. We can't always figure it out ourselves. But we do believe that God is in control.
yes, he is.
So we had an incident this morning with a young man in the family who went into some kind of shock and had a seizure.
Grand Mal,
seizure.
yes.
Preparing to travel, about to get on the plane.
On the airplane, yes. Yeah. On the plane.
And so we had to go into real-time prayer. Real-time prayer, calling everybody together and lifting up the Lord. And praise God for the report that not only after going to the hospital, not only did he recover, because at one point he was unconscious, not only did he recover, but they got on another plane and they made their trip.
Yes.
Same day.
That's
Glory.
right. That's right. And
God.
it's just so surprising because it was the first time
Never happened before,
this
right?
little child ever had a seizure, and it was very, very severe.
Very severe.
Very severe. But he's okay.
Thank God for him and his mom and the family,
Yes, and thank God that the plane had not taken off.
Right.
Thank God that he was not in the air. Exactly.
So God knows what he's doing. There's such timing involved with that today. It just helps you realize and remember that God knows what he's doing. So thank God for that. And thank God for you, all of you that are here. Show yourselves a little bit, say hello, say greetings, say something, give us a little nod, a little heart, a little wave. Let us know that you're on with us tonight. And again, we're happy to be back with you. We've been doing this for a while now.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
It's been like a year and a half.
You know what? We started this during COVID.
At the beginning of COVID.
The very beginning of COVID.
Like March or April. I think it was March.
Yes. We realized that people were isolated and they needed some type of outlet. They needed to talk to someone.
Yep.
People were at home and all kinds of things were going through our minds, and we needed to express ourselves and talk about the situation. So we developed this program for that purpose.
It's funny. At least one time I've gone back and seen like our first couple episodes.
Yes.
And if you look at what we're presenting now versus what we had going
then,
on,
yes.
we were scrambling to throw something together back then
Yes.
and trying to do whatever we could with what we got. But we've come a long way, and
Yes, we
so
have.
excited about that. Now we just really want to focus on getting more people to be aware of the show. And you can help us with that, by the way, by just sharing it out with somebody, sharing it out with your friends. Facebook has done a lot over time since then to actually make it harder.
Yes, they
to
keep
share
changing.
things out.
They keep changing things
Change,
around on us.
restrict, constrain. They want you to pay for everything is the bottom line. So they've
Yes.
changed things to make you pay for it. But thankful for all those who have been with us, connected with us for over a year and a half.
Yeah.
And hope you've enjoyed it. And as we continue to enjoy sharing and talking with you. So wherever you see this, whenever you see it, please share it with somebody. Just share it to your friends, whatever your timeline, and invite people to come. I also want to invite you to join our YouTube page. for the program. The YouTube page, right on YouTube, if you type in Conversations Pam and David, then you will see there, you'll be able to subscribe. And when you get to that, just hit that subscribe button. And that number of subscribers means a lot. So we'd appreciate your support connecting up with that. You'll find it there. And also you'll find the history of all the different shows that have taken place. Not all of them, actually, because I think I can't even remember now, I can't remember exactly how many videos there are on there. There's a bunch.
But there's several.
There's a lot, right?
Yes.
We've been recording these and putting them up, uploading now for quite a period of time. So, there's a bunch in the archive.
Yes.
A lot of fun, interesting, and entertaining programs. So, if you have a chance, go check it out. And if you enjoy it, subscribe to it. Let somebody else know about it, and we'd be just happy to have you connected up with us and supporting this in the long run. Every now and then we get some comments online from people who happen to find it, and they talk about how interesting some of the things that we're talking about are and things of that nature.
Yes.
But, if people are finding it. They're just finding it randomly. We need your help, okay? You can help us with that. If you appreciate the show, then go ahead and share it. So anyway, how things going? How was your week?
Sorry
for your new look.
It
your
was
new
pretty good.
You got a new situation
This is
happening.
what you call aging gracefully.
Aging gracefully,
yes.
okay?
It's a classic look, classic cut.
The kids say you got a situation.
Like a situation?
You got a new situation.
Oh my goodness, everywhere that I've gone today, there's, compliments.
It's fresh, right?
It's fresh.
Yeah, it's a fresh new look.
And it's easy.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Easy is good.
Yes.
Right?
And I can see.
Hallelujah.
I can see clearly.
Once was
now.
blind.
And now I see.
But now she can see. Glory to God for that. Especially driving. Thank you, Jesus. We're happy. We're so happy for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of trouble we were in before. But praise God.
Well, I wasn't wearing my glasses.
Yeah, so I heard.
And,
you may not want to say that on the air.
Well, but I haven't had any accidents.
Well, that's good. I'm going to just be quiet right there.
Okay, thank you. Well.
Yeah, I'm just going to be quiet.
Okay.
So anyway, great. I'm glad that happened. So we've had a busy week as always. Lots of things going on. Lots of things happening in the world, in the church world, in the business world, all kind of things. I'm sure everybody else has had a busy time as well. And of course, it's been a busy time in the country and all the different things that have been going on as well.
Yes.
So of course we got lots to talk about, lots of topics taking place that are going on around us. One of the biggest and most relevant right now being all these vaccine mandates that are now queuing into place.
Yes, you actually saw some people protesting.
That was last
here
week,
in Rochester.
I mean, not just in Rochester, up here in our suburb.
Yes.
They were out on the corner. I didn't see them this week, but haven't been out much actually.
Yeah.
But
so
they are protesting. People are protesting all over the place. They're protesting downtown in various places, and they're protesting literally all over not only the country, but the world. This is a worldwide phenomenon now.
Wow.
I saw some pictures of people protesting in Paris and other countries as well, Brazil, where these mandates are starting to be put in place. And we had talked, by the way, a long time saying this was eventually going to happen.
We did.
Right?
In the beginning, when people were actually refusing to take the vaccine, we pretty much called it.
It was inevitable.
It was inevitable.
Because that the governments look at it from a broader perspective than just personal independence. And so, they're trying to stop a worldwide health crisis, a pandemic. And so it was almost inevitable at some point that they were going to get a certain amount of people that volunteered and would happily take it, and others that just are not comfortable for various reasons. Some just aren't comfortable. Some don't trust the government.
Right.
And here's the issue. The more you push them, the less comfortable they become. Right? So, what do you do? I mean, is this, now you're forcing people to either take this vaccine or lose their jobs.
Right.
And many of them are choosing to lose their jobs.
Well, I think with that, since COVID, people have learned how to work from home, create businesses, and survive without going into an office or without working for someone.
Well, that's part of it. People are adjusting. It's been over a year and a half.
Yes.
But, here you're talking about a lot of people who not only have been working, but have been very needed workers. It's almost the opposite here, because these are people who are tired of working. They've been working multiple hours, heavy hours. They've been right in the midst of this crisis. You're talking about school teachers, you're talking about government workers,
Yes.
especially here in New York State, where the mandates are on government workers. They are on, they're heading towards schools and teachers,
Yes, the medical
the
profession.
medical profession, the health
Yes,
professions.
they are needed.
And, the government itself, the United States government is pushing it in the military. So you're seeing people who are either leaving or retiring from the military right now.
Retiring
at all
from
levels,
education.
right? From education, from in the nursing fields, and now they're being pushed to shove, and people are literally saying, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not doing it.
They're looking at like a 10 to 15% loss in many of
Yes.
these areas of workers where we already are understaffed in workers in the
Right.
schools, in the hospitals,
Right.
nursing homes, that an instant 10 to 15% drop.
Exactly. Well, they're actually calling retired people that have retired from a profession. There's actually a need for them to come back.
Well, they were doing that in the school system too. I mean,
Yes.
even bus drivers, beginning of the school year.
Yes, the people that drive the yellow school buses,
They
they
were
need
calling
drivers.
them, say, "Can you please come back
Please
to work?
come back."
We need you."
Yes.
And so, the need is great, and this forcing of people to take this vaccine is really pushing many of them in the opposite direction,
Mm-hmm.
because the more you push them, the less trustful they are
Yes.
of the whole thing, and they're making up their minds to do other things. So and these are serious decisions, because these are serious careers that they're stepping
Oh,
away
yes,
from.
exactly. And you also notice it in the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a restaurant, oh my goodness now, and they're not as professional as the people that were used to working
There's not nearly
in the
as many.
restaurant. It's not as many, and there's new people.
Right.
There are new people
Yep.
that are being trained.
Yeah. They're
So
coming
it's-
in. They're taking
Yes,
jobs.
it's taking longer to get whatever you order.
Mm-hmm.
The order isn't correct.
Yep.
It's just not
pressure.
good. A lot of pressure.
And so even those that are working, and there's so many job openings. I keep talking to people who are looking for people to work in so many, almost every vendor I talk to, and it's been a lot lately. I'm like, so how are you guys doing? You got workers, and then they just start shaking their head. From everything from tow truck drivers to people who do blacktop
Construction.
work, construction work,
We're trying
all
to get
kind of jobs.
Exactly. We're trying to get some things done in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to order material, and
Material
it's
shortages.
a shortage. We can't get it, or
supply-
it's a supply and
the-
demand.
the,
You can't
truck
get it for 6
drivers,
months.
everything.
We ordered a nice, comfortable piece of furniture,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we can't get it until January.
Yeah, there's-
Maybe Valentine's Day.
so it's just everywhere, so it's impacted the entire economy.
It has.
And so, there's all kind of things that are happening there. But the mandates, are, I don't know, are they a necessary evil, or are they just making the problem bigger? I think that's the real question, and what's your other alternative? Because in essence, you made these available. A lot of people took it to start. After you made it available, then you incentivized it. And we've gotten to where I think it's like 55% of the country total has taken the vaccine, and like 75% have had at least one shot. That's actually not too bad. They were
No.
originally figuring it would take 70, 80% people to get to where we had, what they call herd immunity. And, they've gotten quite a bit without even opening up to children and things like that, which is still just happening. So there's a really good amount of people in the country that have been vaccinated. And there's a whole nother group of people who have been infected.
Yes.
And because they've been affected, they have a certain amount of now antibody resistance as well. So it's really curious to think how much of the country is left that really is totally unexposed to the virus at this point. What point do we tap out? They're saying, I haven't looked in a while, but they're saying, we should probably look today, that the rates are starting to settle back down. Let's pull it up while we're talking, and we can take a quick look to see where the rates are at, because they're saying that can't spell that the rates are starting to cannot spell, man. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Can't spell and talk at the same time.
Yes.
I guess that's what I can't do.
Yes.
They're saying the rates are starting to go back down. I haven't looked in a while, so let's just take a quick look and see what things look like here. So as we look at where things stand, this is for the state. Let's look at the country. Yeah, so it's starting to go down a little bit. This is the case rates. It's not complete, and this is a typical pattern of what we've seen over time. We get these surges, and by the way, it's getting colder. People are starting to come back indoors, things like that. But we're starting to see a little bit of a downward trend here. Hopefully things will settle down. Is it because of the vaccines? Is it because just that time of year? Who knows what's happening. As we look again, we're just looking at New York State. Just take a quick look, see what's happening. Yeah. Steady to upward. It's a little bit increasing, but not extreme. Well, let's see what's happening in some of the southern states. Let's see what's happening in Texas. That's been a tough one. Going down a little bit in Texas. Florida is another one that's always been a little bit
hot
crazy.
spot. Yeah.
Going down in Florida. So it looks like overall we're starting to see some settling effect, from at least the case rate. So that's a positive thing. Hopefully things are starting to head in the right direction again, and we'll see the effect of some of these things. But there's still this push, and now this mandatory push is really pushing people, to the point of now it's really getting disruptive to see whether they're really going to what's going to happen. And people losing and letting go of their jobs is a serious choice and commitment that they mean this. I mean, because they're putting everything on the line to say, I'm going to walk away. Now again, others, people may have their own other alternatives. They may go to another state. If they live on the border, maybe they go to Pennsylvania, or a state that's not mandating it. Maybe they go down south. There's lots of places where they're not mandated there. Maybe they go into another career, another profession. Who knows? But it's a serious, and they're making really good money too.
Yes.
So, but on top of it, they're like, look, I've been under stress for a year and a half with this. I need a break anyway. I can imagine some of them saying, look, you're putting us in these these situations. You're pressuring us with all these different ways. I'm going into schools. I want to be here. I feel unsafe anyway. And now you want to force me to get this stuff that I'm not comfortable with.
Right. Well, here's the issue with educators. They don't have a vaccine yet for children under a certain age.
Right. So if you're working in the elementary schools and things like that, and we've seen situations that have broken out with children and exposure and danger. There was a situation here, I think last week, in one of our suburbs where I think it was like 188 cases, and they shut down the whole school district.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And it's only what? It's only October.
Right?
October 1st.
So 2 months in.
Yes.
So, and there are other areas as well where they have, we had somebody at work this week that, they called them to pick up all their school children one day because one of the children had tested positive, and so they wanted them to take all their kids home, and so they had to leave work to go get their kids, take all their kids home. So there's all kind of issues going on. It turned out in that case only the one child came out to be positive. They tested all the kids. It's now they have protocols for these things, right? How do we respond to this if and when it happens, because it's going to happen. So this thing is not dead. It's still around us.
It's very much alive.
Yeah, and so
it is.
What is the best path for this? So if anybody has any thoughts and opinions, we're always happy to hear what you think about this as well. But this is a major issue that continues on, and there's some major decisions that will continue to go on as we move towards this push. You can assume the mandates will continue to expand. They're saying now in California that as soon as the CDC allows, they're going to mandate vaccines for all the school children. So as soon as they allow for ages 5 and up, now it's I think 12 and up. As soon as they allow for 5 through 11, they're talking about mandating all the children in the California school district, huge school district, to be vaccinated. And so that's a big thrust. That's going to be a big push. So these mandates are not going away.
Nope.
And just like with every other vaccine that we take now, it's just a matter of time before they become required for more and more of what people have to do.
Right.
There's been questions about, will people need to be mandated for travel, right? For
Right.
air travel and for buses and for public transportation and all these things. All these things are kind of down the pipeline. So
Well, we saw it coming because we talked about it.
Well, I know people don't like
we
it.
have discussed it.
But, there's a reality that's out there that this push is going to continue to drive itself on. And I don't think they're going to stop. So, people have a lot going on here. Listen, if you want to get involved in the conversation, don't hesitate to give us a call. The number's there, 951-799-9032. Or you can put a comment up, and we'll try and catch those as well. Sometimes the comments come through.
Well,
sometimes
they've had this. Like we said, there have been vaccines before for various illnesses. Has it been this much of a protest against it during those times?
This one is a little different, though. I mean, and there were. In fact, I think it was Don Lemon on CNN who shared a clip a couple weeks ago of the protest that came up when they required seat belts.
Yes, I do remember that.
They made a legislation.
Click it or ticket.
Right. They made a everybody was required to wear their seat belts.
Yes.
And there was so much, resistance against that concept of, forcing us. I mean, so understand, it's not new. Hey there. Hey, Andre.
Hi, Andre.
It's not new that people are being required by the government to do certain things, which is in the interest of the general public.
Right.
That's the reason why we have drinking and driving laws.
Exactly.
Right. You can drink in your own home, knock yourself out literally if you choose.
Right.
But you're not allowed to drink and then put everybody else in jeopardy by driving. Right. Seatbelt laws were not just to protect the individual; they were to protect, those who they were coming in contact with,
everyone
whoever was on the car, et cetera, so forth.
Other drivers, pedestrians.
Right.
Yes.
That's drinking laws as well.
Exactly.
So these things, there are laws all the time and throughout. I mean, speeding laws.
Right. Well, but eventually with these laws, people actually caught on, and eventually now, you get in the car and you immediately
you
click it a ticket. So it's really not an issue. So
some
you
of us
remind
click
me
it a little more rapidly than others. I'm just going to say that. Some of us, need a little more incentive.
Yeah.
But, click it or ticket.
For the most part, we do that.
It's the laws, right?
Right. We follow the law.
You obey the speed limits, hopefully, kind of, sort of, to a certain extent.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get stopped, right?
Right.
You have to have headlights. Right? For your sake and for the safety of those around you.
Exactly.
So these laws are not unusual. Vaccines are not unusual. The unique thing about this one is the rapid pace it came, so much negative publicity in and around it and how it came to be. It caused a lot of confusion, and it's a new science. And so it has drawn a lot of nervousness, because think about it. Everybody was still suspicious of where the virus came from.
Right.
Right. And now all of a sudden you got a miracle cure.
That
came
out quickly.
Too. So everybody's like, wait a minute. What's going on behind the scenes? Because we all know we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
No, we don't.
We don't know. We don't know
fully. No, we don't.
So you can't blame
There's more
people.
than meets the eye.
Yeah, you can't blame people for being very cautious and nervous about this. For me, what I always say is it comes down to a balance of risk, right? Am I more at risk by not having this vaccine and what the virus can do to me? Or am I more at risk of what this vaccine could do to me?
Right.
And, when you look at the progressive data that's coming out and has come out, it seems like the higher risk is being exposed.
Right.
Now, we don't know, and people said
being exposed without the vaccine.
Right. People do not know what the long-term effect is. Right?
No, we
Whether
don't.
the vaccine is going to have a long-term effect. But this,
no, we don't. And this is the concern with people that are not taking the vaccine.
Absolutely.
Because we do not know the long-term effect.
Right. So we don't know
what's going to happen
jeopardy we're
3 years
ourselves
from
in.
now.
Well, 30 years from now.
30, exactly.
Right? Nobody
You don't know
knows.
what's going to happen with these young people that are taking the vaccine. What's going to happen when they have children? Will their children be affected? Because that has happened.
You don't have any
with
generational
various
information like that
exactly.
now.
We don't have that yet.
So
this is all basically. I consider it to be research.
Here's the new thing that's come out. They're recommending this vaccine for pregnant women, and I know for a fact a lot of pregnant women have avoided the vaccine because they don't want to damage their child in any way. They don't know what kind of long-term impact,
the reproductive system. Yes,
and so that's a significant risk. So they're trying to take that risk of being exposed, but now you have pregnant women who are getting sick with the virus, and they say that pregnant women that get the virus, I think it's like twice as more likely to be hospitalized by the virus. So because their bodies are already in a weakened state,
exactly,
they're at more higher risk.
Yes,
and so again, you've got to make this choice: do I take that risk of what if I die? I mean, there have been people already where they had to take the baby and the mother died. So is it a greater risk to be exposed to this virus? Or is it a greater risk to expose me and my child to the vaccine?
Yeah.
It is a serious decision that you have to make. And so, look, if you're not going to take the vaccine, then you have to shelter in place, right?
You should.
If you're
you
not,
really should.
If any pregnant woman that's going to not take the vaccine has to be able to stay home, stay isolated, stay not exposed. But the problem is we saw earlier on in this, people can be literally at home and somebody brings the virus in with them and doesn't know it.
Exactly.
And now you're exposed. That happened to a lot of older people.
I know someone that happened to, yes.
Where they were home, never left the house, but like the nurse that came in to take care of them or somebody came to help clean actually had the virus, was asymptomatic, didn't realize it, and now this older person got it and got, deadly sick from it. So these risks are real, and are you going to be exposed to the long-term risk or the short-term risk? The short-term risk of being exposed to the virus or the long-term risk of what could happen because of the vaccine? We just don't know. So you have to be able to put your trust in a lot of things like science, that you don't have control over, and this is a tough choice. So Andre is saying, it's hurting the health field badly. He works in the health field, and now they're starting to give flu shots. You're right. We just started flu shots. I had to set up flu shots for our company coming up in a couple of weeks. Because one of the concerns, and you can think about this any way you want, but one of the concerns right now is because flu has been so low the past couple of years. Their fear is that because people have not been exposed to the flu as much, that the response to the flu could become more severe. So how's that? You stay away from it. The longer you stay away, you don't have exposure to it. Now your response could be even worse rather than better. So they got all this
because the
stuff
focus has been on COVID.
And I think
now this Delta variant.
We have escaped the flu because the things that we have done to protect ourselves from COVID have protected us from the flu as well. Sanitization, masks, hand washing, staying social distance. That's the way any virus spreads. And so by keeping ourselves protected from COVID, we've also kept ourselves protected from the lesser severe flu. But now their fear is our impact of the flu might get worse. I don't know. I'll take that, leave that one. But you're seeing, there's comments there we're not even seeing.
Oh, now
What's
I just
up with
lost
that?
it. Yeah.
So let me try and read it. See if we can see some more. Anyway, so that's the risks that are going on in and around us right now. So it's a tough time. People have to make decisions. They have to make personal decisions. Ultimately, if we want to get back to any sense of social normalcy, either we have to get fully vaccinated or we have to wait this out.
Yeah.
And the risk of waiting it out is you get another variant. And it's worse.
That's where we are right now.
And you start all over again.
Right.
So that's the biggest concern as a not only a government, not only as a country, but worldwide, because we can be fine here and it starts again in Europe, it starts again in India or Africa, and it cycles all through the world all over again.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's a crazy time. So, let's switch the subject. We talked a lot about that, but there's other things that are going on in our lovely world and country now as well that are probably worth talking about as well. One of them is a situation that's going on with our Congress and the government. So we've really kind of reached a critical point here over the past week with the stalemate of things that are going on in the government. And there's a few different elements of this that's going on. One of them was barely averted this week, and that's the government shutdown. So, government shutdown right now, in the midst of everything else that's going on, causes even more chaos. Because if you shut down the government and now people in the government can't work, and that affects so many people throughout the country, and it also affects the financial flow that's going on. So the stock market has been tumbling this week because of all the risk, and there's multiple things that's going on. The government shutdown is just one of like four major things that are coming to to a climax right now.
Coming to a head.
The first was that, and so they, the government, Republicans, Democrats pushing against each other, strategizing against each other.
Yes.
So that the first issue was the funding bill, the stopgap to keep the government from shutting down. So they signed something through December, or 2 more months, right? Comes back up again. In the meantime,
2 months.
There's a debt ceiling issue that still has to be resolved because that was just funding to keep the government going. But debt ceiling is the government's ability to borrow money to pay its bills. Right? And if they max out the debt ceiling, you can't borrow any more than this.
Because it's maxed out.
Because our debt keeps going up.
Exactly.
And if you can't borrow against that any further, then that means we start defaulting on money that we owe. And we owe money like everywhere. It's not like, from a government standpoint, understand China covers probably the vast majority of our debt. We're not in this alone. We are not self-sufficient anymore. We have borrowed money in order to do the trillions and trillions of dollars that we spend.
Right.
Because we're spend addicts in this country. Not just individually, not just as families, but as a government, we're spend addicts. We're constantly spending more than we can afford. I don't even know what the real debt level is right now. It's skyrocketed so much over the past 4 or 5 years. But we keep hitting our ceiling, so we have to open that ceiling. The government says, look, we allow ourselves to only borrow so much, and then you've got to solve the problem through cutting spending. Well, we don't do that, so we just keep increasing the level of debt that we'll do. And unless they say, yes, you can borrow more than this, then we start defaulting. Not only on, so we talk about government shutdown. Well, now I can't pay you. We can't afford to pay you. We can't afford to pay the interest on our loans that are out there. The Chinese have the majority of our loans. There are other countries that have bonds and things like that from us. If we hit our debt ceiling and can't go further, we start defaulting on our loans, and then the value of our debt starts decreasing. And so our credit limit as a country starts dropping. And instead of being considered reliable and we'll give you money at low interest rates, the interest rates of our debt goes up, which means it just impacts our entire economy. So they've got till October 18th. Today is the 2nd. They got 16 days to resolve that issue.
16 days.
Right. And then you've got 2 other bills that are out there. One of them is for this infrastructure bill. On top of the already reaching the debt limit, they want to spend another $1 trillion to add on top of that, even though we're saying we've already maxed out our debt and continue to do so with what we're doing now. Infrastructure bill to help build roads, bridges, trains, planes, automobiles, the whole deal. That $1 trillion. These things are getting bigger and bigger. Thank you, Anthony. Hey. He says he thinks the debt right now is around 22 trillion. That is so much higher than, think about it. When Obama was in and came in and they did their spending bill, I think it was $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion. They were complaining about it being so high, right? And then Obama goes out, Trump goes in, and the Republicans are supposed to be conservative. And they shoot out another few trillions and it goes up. So now I think it was like 16 back at that time. Now it's 22 trillion. I would believe that amount. And it's going up. And now we want to spend another $1 trillion on the infrastructure bill. And then they have a Revitalize America bill out there. That's another $3.5 trillion. It's amazing to think we're talking about bills of trillions of dollars now.
Trillions and trillions of dollars.
It used to be like billion-dollar bills.
Now we're in the trillions.
Now we're in the trillion-dollar bills. Now it's not in 1 year, but it's over years. 3.5 trillion. They want to add into the spending of the government in towards all these different things. like we can afford this. So you realize, how are we going to pay for that? Oh, we're going to ask rich people to give a little bit more. Blah, blah. They always have some reason how it's going to be paid for. But at the same time, the budget, the debt continues to rise because it doesn't all get paid for. All those stimulus checks that they wrote, 3 or 4 different ones that they sent out, all the things that we continue to pump out, the money that the government pumps out, like we got money to do it. Right? It's like having your checkbook in the negative, but you're still writing checks.
Exactly.
Right? Saying, trust me, this is going to be good.
Going deeper and deeper in debt.
Right. This is exactly what's happening.
It is.
So there used to be a time when people were talking about balancing the budget. You have not heard that terminology in the past 3 years.
Exactly.
Right?
Nobody cares
about balancing
the
budget anymore. It's about spend.
Yes.
And the logic is it's good for the economy because if the government spends money, it trickles into the economy. More money goes in. People have more money, more jobs. But people won't even go to work. So we're making jobs. People won't take the job. They won't go to work.
They will not go. No. People have actually had enough. They're like, look, I know how to stay home and live and survive
and
now.
You just send us the checks at home. We're not going to work.
Exactly.
Just keep sending us those
keep sending unemployment and stimulus.
Put the money
extend the unemployment.
Oh my
God.
It's crazy. So all this stuff is going on. So all these things, and the government, as usual, is battling each other. Republicans versus Democrats. We don't work together to solve problems anymore. We just push for who is in the position of power.
Right.
So right now, the Republicans have all pulled back. And they're trying to push the Democrats into doing reconciliation. Normally, the way a bill passes through the House and through the Senate is by 2/3 vote.
Okay. Because
it's basically like 50 to 49 in the government right now, something like that, split in the Senate. You can't get a 2/3 vote without getting at least 10 Republicans to support it. Right. And so the whole Republicans are unified in saying we're not voting for any of this stuff because we're not going to be able to blame. And when the elections come, we want to say we didn't do it, y'all did it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right.
Right? So they're forcing them. The only way the Democrats can get these things through the Senate is by what they call reconciliation. Reconciliation is an accounting financial process that they go through, which allows them to pass certain changes with only 50 votes instead of 2/3, 66. So if they go through reconciliation, they can do it, but then it's totally blamed on the Democrats. The other part of it is all the Democrats won't agree. So they need like all 50 of the Democrats in the Senate to agree to whatever they're going to do. And they have 2 senators that are moderates that are saying, look, we're not signing on to spend all this money, especially if we don't get Republican support.
Right.
And so, in the House, they can't now even get this stuff through the House because you have liberal and moderate Democrats that aren't agreeing. And they can't compromise amongst themselves. The progressives want it to be even more radical. It's like 3.5. Why don't we spend 4 or 5? Right? And the moderates are saying, look, we'll do it, but that's just too much money. And so they can't get them even on the Democrat side to agree to something. So everything is stifled. And so in the meantime, everything gets stalled up in the system. Nothing gets done. Everything goes down to the last minute. Everything is a crisis vote because everybody's pushing and playing, who's going to jump. Right. And so, it's like, what's that? When the cars come at each other and they wait to see who's going to turn first.
Yes.
I forget what they call it, playing whatever, bluff or whatever. But, so chicken, thank you.
Plain chicken.
So the whole thing is like tied up to see who's going to give and who's going to surrender first before there's a crisis. Our government constantly works this way now. We go from crisis to crisis to crisis. We're not fixing
We're
problems.
not fixing anything. We're not resolving anything.
Plugging holes.
Exactly.
Right? Because they can't really come to
any type of
the problem
agreement.
Is
they can't come to any medium.
The problem
they
is
can't come to the middle.
We won't compromise.
Exactly.
And the truth of the matter is we don't have the country as a whole at heart in these issues.
Exactly.
It's always about maintaining my people,
power,
my representation,
self-interest,
right, and self-interest and power.
Yes.
It's not about what's the best thing for the country.
The greater good of the whole. It's not.
It's gone. It's totally gone.
Yes.
And regardless of who you put in place, it's the same old story.
We will have the same issue. Exactly.
It goes over and over again.
Over and over.
Think about from from president to president,
Exactly.
from Congress to Congress. It really hasn't changed. It only gets worse.
Exactly.
So the question is, how do we get out of this death spin? How do we get out of this death cycle? Because right now we are stifled as a nation.
Oh, yes.
And we just go through this over and over and over again. We've gone through it now, presidency after presidency after presidency. You can't really effectively improve things that need to be affected because you cannot get everybody to come together in agreement. There's no concession. There's no saying, okay, I'm going to give up a little bit. And that's what the government is designed for.
Right.
The way our government is designed, it's designed for concession. It's designed for compromise.
Well, yeah, it is, but that's not what's happening. Yes.
But that's the problem.
That's the
so
issue.
because
that
we will not
issue.
do that anymore. The older senators, Ted Kennedy, those folks,
Right.
they understood the process of moving forward had to involve compromise.
Right.
You had to learn how to go over the aisle and compromise the other side. Even Biden comes from that time frame,
Yes.
and understands
Comes
that.
from that era.
But regardless of that, it just cannot be executed today. There's just too many stiff minds. There's just too many self-interest. There's just too much focus on what I need to do to keep my people, because things have been so divided.
And very divided.
You cannot
polarized.
speak for the whole anymore. You only speak for your side.
Yes,
in
exactly.
your house. They become arch enemies, if you will. And so there's no compromise across the aisles.
Yes.
Bipartisanship really barely exists.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, we all suffer as a nation, and we suffer in our national attention as well, because people look at us and like we're crazy. Right. So where this ends and where this goes, it's going to be an ongoing drama to see what happens. How does this change? I don't know. Who can change it? It's not a one person problem.
No, it isn't. And
so
one person can't change it.
To find somebody who can really push and swell, you really need people on both sides who have decided enough is enough.
Right, and to come to some type of agreement.
Right, and they will be able to come and pull people with them.
Right.
But everybody's afraid of their job. Everybody's afraid of their position. Everybody's afraid of keeping their seats.
Losing power.
It's
losing control.
It's really tough.
Yes,
it's tough.
it is.
So even I think it's mentioned we talked about the Democratic senator middle of the road that's holding up so many things. I feel for him, because a lot of what he's holding up is because he's trying to get consensus. He's trying not to be extreme, and so he looks like the bad guy. When reality, he's the one that's trying to get these folks to work together, and it is not a good situation in doing so right now. So let's move on to one other thing. Thanks for those who are on there. Thanks for comments. Don't forget, you can always call in, or you can send us a comment. We're watching and looking and responding to those that are connected up with us. But we wanted to talk about this issue with missing persons that has been talked about, and it's really been highlighted the past couple of weeks with this story on Gabby Petito, which is a very sad story.
It really is.
This young woman who had been traveling across the country with her boyfriend. I don't remember whether they were fiancé or not, but traveling across the country, and have been spotted in different parts of the country interacting, and it's been very negative interactions going on between them. The police had stopped them one time. People had called. So rough things were going on. The police stepped in to a certain extent, but not all the way.
Right.
In fact, at one point, it got confused as to who was the aggressor of what in terms of violence. They encouraged them to separate for a night, and you can kind of understand the fact that they did not at that point. A lot of times if the police witness direct violence,
right,
then they have to respond.
They have to respond, right.
But they're going by what people have said, and they're talking to the individuals, and they're trying to talk them down, and so they suggest, look, you need to separate and cool off, right?
Right. And
so they did that, and then after that they go, and then something happens. We don't know exactly what happened yet. But now we know that Gabby is unfortunately dead.
Yes.
Her body was found. And the only person that really saw her, the last person that's known to see her, her boyfriend, has went back to Florida. This was in Wyoming.
In Wyoming, exactly.
So they've been traveling across the country.
Yeah.
He leaves, goes back to Florida, right, over the course of time, and then kind of disappears.
Right.
Now we're hearing more of the things that happened once he went back to Florida. He's with his parents. His parents don't have any right, by the way, response. They don't have to speak to the police and tell them.
They
but
don't.
His parents spent time with him. Obviously, here's my thinking. You come back to Florida, you come back home. Your parents know that you went away
Right.
with your girlfriend.
With your girlfriend.
You come back.
Without her.
Isn't one of the first questions, hey, where's Gabby?
Where's Gabby?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that's got to come up.
It has to
right?
come up.
Now we know not only did he come back, but with his parents and with his sister,
Exactly.
they went camping. So it's not like they just passed the two ships in the night. He was living at their house.
In their home.
They all went camping together.
Right.
The question never came up, by the way.
Where's Gabby?
Where's Gabby?
Yes.
You guys went away together.
Yes. Where is she?
So where's Gabby at?
Where's Gabby?
The question, I mean, how could that not come up? I can't imagine.
I can't imagine
how it would not.
I can't imagine that either.
So there had to be some conversation. Now again, they're not required to tell the police.
Right. Exactly.
What they know.
That's right.
They say
they can.
Look,
they
he
don't
was
have
here.
to.
We don't know. He went down to this preserve. His car was left there. We went and picked up the car. Mm-hmm. Why would they go pick up the car? You know, if he was going out there, you'd think he would want to come back and have his car.
Right.
But so obviously they know something.
They know something. But
they
don't have to say anything.
They don't have to
because
say
it is a
anything.
conflict of interest, because it is their loved one. You don't have to testify
Yeah.
or say anything against someone in your household.
But clearly people know something about what happened.
Oh yeah, they do.
So now where he went, we heard he went to the preserve. Now they're saying maybe he didn't go there, that he's off, somewhere, that they're looking for him in other places. They're following up leads, trying to find him. And they don't really know what happened. And they haven't released from the autopsy what actually happened, other than saying homicide. They obviously don't want to give away the details of what they found yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they're looking for all kind of indications of who, what, and where, and when, and how she actually died. And they're looking to find this man to put the puzzle pieces together. But it's a sad story.
Very
number
sad.
one.
Yes.
That's going on. But that story has raised a lot of other issues about why is she getting so much? You literally are hearing about this story updates every day.
Yes.
Literally every day for weeks now.
Yes.
There is an everyday story on multiple sites.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And the question came up about a week ago. Mm-hmm. Why all this attention to Gabby? And what about all the other people out there?
There are so many other women missing.
Right.
And they are not getting media coverage.
Not just women
They're
either.
not getting attention. But particularly women of color.
Women and men.
Men of color.
Right.
There's an issue going on one of the Indian reservations where there are several Indian women, American Indian women, that are missing. Mm-hmm. And no one's talking about it. They're not getting the attention. And they are trying to get the attention. They're trying to bring attention to the situation of all of these other missing women. And they're not getting
There's hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of stories out there.
Thousands,
and
yes.
Especially, and listen, this isn't the first time that we've seen this situation where a white young female all of a sudden is getting all this attention,
right?
In terms of they've been lost, they're missing, and we follow this story every day. We've seen it now many times.
Yes.
But the question is, why is it always some white female, and no taking away from that person, but why not others? This one right here is just one example. Misty Severi is one young lady who has been missing. There's a whole story about her. They think now they found her body. Now we're starting to hear some of these stories that are starting to come out more. Maya Mercano is the one they think they just found the body on. But there are stories after stories of these young people that are missing and being found.
Of color. Or other ethnicities.
So Maya's one of them.
Yes.
And this is another one, Mary Johnson. This is a young man, Daniel Robinson. His story is very interesting.
I've been reading. I've been following this.
He was a geologist.
A geologist.
24-year-old.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I think this is the one where one of his arms was stunted.
It's stunted at birth. So he doesn't have a hand.
Right. And so recognizable, right?
Yes.
And they were again trying to get attention as to what happened.
His parents,
he was driving,
family.
he went away, he was in school or whatever, working, and they found his car some ways away.
Yes.
Disappeared. Eventually found the body. Right, but they were trying to get attention, looking for this young man.
Right.
It's a young, credible man.
Incredible. Yes.
Now, I know a lot of these cases, they talk about runaways and things like
he
this.
was not.
This was a young, credible man.
Yes.
Story after story after story of people that are missing and not accounted for, just come missing. Some of them are, maybe parents, and all of a sudden they've disappeared. But why this syndrome? I didn't say this. Somebody called it.
Well, there's a term. There's
missing
a term.
white woman
syndrome. There's a term that they're using now. Yes,
so
exactly.
Missing white woman syndrome. Oh, that's kind of harsh.
That's harsh.
But
it is the reality that is actually what is happening.
When you look at what's being broadcast through the news media, and I've said many times, there is inherent bias in the news media. They cover the stories they choose to cover based on what they're trying to present. And so now all of a sudden, since somebody brought this up, a news reporter brought this up about a week ago on Saturday, I think it was on a Saturday, maybe Friday, where they brought up this whole issue of why is it all these other stories are not getting the same kind of attention.
Exactly.
And so now...
So they've coined it.
Now they've started, along with her case, they started bringing up others, right? And they go to the Gabby one first,
right?
And then they say, okay, here's another one, here's another update, blah, blah, blah. But still, it's a fraction.
Yes.
A small fraction of the reality of what's happening out there in terms of these people getting lost. I remember like a year ago when we were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
And while we were doing that, people were sending us stories from like California.
Yes.
Of young black men. They had videotape of the police shooting them down like they were hunting. I mean,
yes.
Targeting. You have all of the police video. We didn't see that over here.
Right.
But this family was for like a year and a half. They were fighting to get the video footage released.
Right.
So that it could be shared.
Right.
Because they were trying to get attention to this situation.
Exactly.
You have these situations that are going on all across the country that we do not hear about.
Yes.
The media pushes what they want to push. Now, with Gabby, the one thing we can say, why her?
Why?
She was considered to be a social media figure. The reason why that story chimed up was because I forget how many followers that she had on social media. And so when she became missing, it became a big story. But this is not the first time, and it's not always people like this. I remember they just sentenced a young man who killed a woman. He was a Mexican man that killed a young white girl somewhere in the Midwest. It was about a year and a half ago now, but he was just found guilty and sentenced. He was following her as she was jogging, and he caught up with her and killed her. And then he tried to blame all this stuff. Other men showed up, psychotic issues. Boom, boom, boom. That story, again, got so much attention, and they eventually found her, and they eventually tied it back to him. So it's a good thing. The question, again, is not a knockoff or a negative towards these cases, but it's like, why does it only seem to happen when it's somebody that's white and a female?
Right. Exactly.
And the others just seem to kind of get lost.
They get lost.
Literally.
Well, there's actually black people have created a website, Our Missing Girls, for black women or black people, that are actually missing. So it's not like they're not trying to get the attention. Here's the issue. They're trying to get the attention and they can't get it.
I want to see that. See if we can look it up. Our Missing Girls.
Yes.
Let's see if we can find it real quick. That's the video of it. Oh, it's an actual. Okay, well, let's just show this page from them. It looks like they have video series going on.
Exactly.
For this, Our Missing Girls.
Yes.
And that's one of the videos, but they have various episodes. Our Black Girls website tells stories of often ignored.
Yes.
So let's look at this.
So this is how big this is how big an issue that this is.
So it's not like these stories aren't happening.
Right.
It's like they're not getting attention.
They're not getting attention.
And the question is, why are they not getting the same types of attention that some of these others are getting? So, video's not available there. Sorry about that. So we're doing this on the fly because it's such an interesting subject.
Yes.
But, there's a real question of why are we not getting this kind of across the board attention?
Yes.
The one thing that is happening, again, this was brought to the attention of social media by a reporter, and he was a black male reporter, TJ Holmes, from I think he was the first one, Good Morning America, to actually present this story. And as a result of him presenting the story, it started getting attention.
Yes.
So the one thing that does make a difference is we do have voices and people out there.
Exactly.
And they're getting the opportunity to look at this. This is quite a page.
This
right?
is yes, yeah.
You know,
I've been looking at this.
So this is our black girls.
Yes, our black girls.
And so 10 years old, 17 years old, 33 years old, 23 years old, 22.
16,
It's
34,
it's
18
terrible.
years old, 42 years old.
And it goes on
40,
and on
34
and on
years
and
old.
on and on.
And different parts of the United States,
So-
California, everywhere.
So why do we not hear about these things? Why do we not hear about even just this website?
Exactly. But it
granted-
shows the seriousness of it.
And
that these people that have decided that we need to create a site to bring some attention, and you don't hear about it.
And granted,
You still don't hear
you
about
can't
it.
cover every story. There's just too many. There's too many stories to cover
Right.
every story. But why? Number one, is there not even inconsistency on the stories that are told? And you could literally report a story per show per day,
Right. You really can.
right?
Yes.
To just at least get the word out, and that's what some of these like Crime Stoppers and things like that do.
Right.
But they
Well,
don't necessarily.
they're not talking about
They
this.
do. Some of them do support missing people. Like I can't remember his name, but Crime Stoppers is one of those where at the end of their show, they typically are looking for people who are wanted for certain things. But then at the end of the show, they'll talk about at least one missing person,
Exactly.
right? But the real question again here is emphasis. Why does the mainstream media pick up stories like the one with Gabby,
Right.
and emphasize hit that,
Exactly.
but they
Exactly.
don't do consistently with some of these other things that
They
are
don't.
going on.
I can remember growing up, they would have missing persons on the milk carton.
They still
on the cereal.
We don't get milk cartons like we used to.
Well, you don't, but
if you go like into Walmart,
yes,
if you go inside
can
the hallway
see-
there, they have a whole wall
yes, they do.
constantly of missing
true.
persons that are there. This is going on, and perhaps we've just gotten so numb to it.
Gives me a
And
chill.
not to mention all the just general missing children. And you ask
Missing
yourself,
adults.
where do all these people
Where
go?
are they?
Right?
What are they?
How could they possibly all just vanish?
Disappear, vanish,
And disappear.
Do you know the anguish that a parent or a family must experience going through knowing that their child is missing out there somewhere? That is just horrible.
How can you have thousands of people missing every year?
And
What happens to them?
happens? What's going on?
Some of them certainly, unfortunately, are killed and hidden or buried.
and some are runaways, but
and some
not,
are runaways.
Not
But-
all.
But how can they all just
40-year-old woman.
vanish and disappear? Do we have aliens? People being,
We
taken
have,
up?
We have demonic people.
There,
We have different underground.
we've seen, people have people hidden in
Harvesting.
their homes, hidden
Sex
out
trafficking.
in fields, sex trafficking, all these types of things that are happening with these people, and they
Slavery.
just get lost in the system. They're unaccounted for. Some of them are taken and treated like, now you're my family, you're my kid, or you're my wife.
Yes.
Starting with these little pre-teenage kids.
Yes.
There's just so many things that are happening out there that they're not visible to us.
Right.
And so, it's a horrible thing. It's horrible to even have to talk about, and I don't particularly like talking about these kind of biases, but we have to deal sometimes with the realities
Right.
that are out there. And it's clear that there are biases out there in terms of this type of attention. So there's lots of things that are going on that are ongoing that we have to keep. Satanic sexual sacrifices. Man, I hear you. There's just
Mark, that
all
of
kind
that
of stuff.
All of that
that's
is going
happening.
on. Exactly.
And to be honest, you never know when it's going to affect you. So to not be sensitive to it affecting others
right.
is a hard thing, because you never know when it's going to turn around
And affect someone in your family or someone that you know.
And you think about what these people go through when they're running around. They're trying to get help. They're trying to get attention. They're trying to get, somebody help us, and people will say all the time, they'll say the first 48 hours
right
is where you really need to have interaction and support on that trail. And these things go on and they get lost, and people, they can't get some, sometimes the people won't even respond. Sometimes like the police departments won't even respond for the first 24 plus hours. They're like, well, let's see if they come home.
See if they come home, see if you
person,
get a phone call.
Blah, 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 It's terrible. It's a terrible situation, and it's harsh to see. I mean, I'm just scrolling through my mind through all these stories of people that have been shown in the media, news media, and it virtually is always about a missing white female.
It is.
That's got to change. Something has to be done. And so, thankful for the news reporter who stepped up and said, "Hey, wait a minute. There's an issue here," because it did bring attention.
Yes.
It caused that network to start changing their behavior, hopefully not just for a short period of time. And it also started causing other networks to begin to respond as well. So one person stepping up and saying something nationally has caused a change, and hopefully it will be sustained. So our time is up. Hey, I'm thankful for all the people that are on, for the comments and things that you've shared. Thank you for being bold enough to comment.
Yes.
Being a part of the conversation. We need to have these conversations. We need to share them. I encourage you to share this with your friends, share it on your network, share it with your page, so that others can be involved in it as well. And don't forget as well, to go to our YouTube page, go on YouTube, type Conversations Pam and David, you will find it. Listen, we need to get up to over 100 subscribers in order to give you a unique link to that. So we need people to subscribe.
Yes.
And then every week, if you miss the show, it's on Facebook. If you miss it on Facebook, every week when we upload, if you subscribe, then you will get a notification that something new is up there. So if you missed the show,
or
subscribe to the page, right?
Yes.
So subscribe to the page. Yeah, if we do it live to there, it'll show up too. Lots of other things coming up, that we want to tell you about too and get you involved in. Don't forget as well the website that we have now for our church. If you're interested in that, go to the church website, Destiny Preparation Church. You will see all the different things that are happening from the church's direction as well. We invite you to go to that, destinypreparation.org. And this is our Facebook. That's the website. It's just showing the scrolling thing. I got confused. Because you can always go to the Facebook page as well. And check out things that are happening there. Along with that, this week, tomorrow, service, we're starting a series called Get Your Faith Back.
Yes.
So join us for this series, Get Your Faith Back, tomorrow. I believe that we really need to press into a whole nother level. And so we're going to be sharing with you over the next few weeks about several things you're going to want to hear and talk about. Get Your Faith Back starts on Sunday. In addition to that, Bible study on Wednesday, Midweek Insights. Join us for that Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock. And we're on a series right now that talks about 1st and 2nd Samuel. And it's been good.
Yes, it has.
We're going on.
Very good.
We're kind of in mid part of 1 Samuel now, and I can't describe it all to you now, but I think you'll enjoy it. Join us on Wednesday. If you missed it, go to our Facebook page, and if you go to the video segment on Facebook, you can also catch all the previous weeks there as a series for 1st and 2nd Samuel. A lot of people don't realize, even from things like the Old Testament, how much they can learn and connects back to them. We think, the history that was old time, that doesn't have nothing to do with me. But there's so much for us to receive and understand and learn, even from the Old Testament. And I guarantee you, I promise you, in what we've been sharing with you in 1 Samuel, there is something for you to hear. Last week, many people were touched as we talked about King Saul. Because it hits home. There's some things that are personal. So I encourage you to go back to last Wednesday, and join us this week as we continue on. I think we're in chapters 17 or 16 through 22, and we're going to start talking about the transition from Saul to David. You will find relevance in it. And it
Very
will,
interesting. You do a very good job with it.
Well, thank you, dear. Thank you.
do.
Thank you. Thank you. One of my faithful watchers and supporters. This is our time for Bible study. We call it Insights because we do different things there. I'll cover all different types of things, but right now we're doing this through the Bible in 1st and 2nd Samuel. If you don't go to Bible school and you've always wanted to, I'm telling you, there's enough here.
He is teaching.
He's
He's giving some very
stuff.
good lessons, and we are learning a lot.
And this is like a semester. We started in September.
Exactly.
We're going through December to cover this whole time frame. You will receive something from it, and it's free.
It's free.
It's like sign up for a course for free.
Exactly.
So
you have a very good. You're very in depth. You have a very good theological background.
Thank you, dear.
Yes.
Thank you. So come and join us. I think you'll be blessed by it. Join us tomorrow morning. Again, we're gonna have a great time, great service tomorrow, 11:30. Join us on our Facebook page for our live stream, and we look forward to having a great time with you. Thank you once again for everybody who joined in with us today. I pray that this has been a blessing to you, and will continue to be a blessing to you. And you'll continue to hang out with us on Saturday nights and enjoy.
Yes.
Don't forget to share. You got to share. Somebody needs to know what's going on.
Yes.
Right? We'll see you next Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
God bless everybody.
God bless everyone.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
We'll see you now.
See
Bye-bye.
you later. Be safe.
Be safe. Go to church. Be blessed.
Pray.
Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you.